Shalom, 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 yasha'Allah. It's your boy, Brother Shamwa Allah, back at you with another quick edifying video. Today's lesson is going to be called, Can Two Walk Together Except They Be Agreed? Can two walk together except they be agreed? First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Halal, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahawah, and his only begotten Son's name, who you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahawashi. All right, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Qadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have ruled well through the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days, and has pushed this gospel and this truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom. Another mighty shalom to all you Akim out there laboring on the highways and on the hedges and on the unicorn, which is this internet, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom to you all as well. All right. Like I said, today's lesson is going to be called, Can Two Walk Together Lest They Be Agreed? Okay. And, you have this, you have like this, the clubhouse, all right? The clubhouse spirit, where you have all these different camps, they come together, all right? And I remember back in a few years back, when, Clubhouse was really, on it, and you had all these different Israelite camps on there, right? And they were coming together trying to, battle against Christians and this, that, and the other, and ultimately, we see now, all right, that they don't have the understanding at the end of the day, all right, but they'll try to unify, right? Back in the day, the unity camps, with with each other, right, and they don't even agree with everything, all right, and it just shows you, how true the scriptures truly are. All right. And, I remember, just in Clubhouse, when I was back on there, a couple of years, I was always listening, and it was a lot of confusion, because you have, um, one camp, teach lunar Sabbath, another teaches Friday, Saturday, sundown. All right. And they be up in these rooms, and it's crazy because I can remember too, being in some of those rooms, and some of the doctrines come out, and you got people who are silent, all right, about even like with Cornelius, Cornelius being a Israelite, all right. And you have like HOI, who says Cornelius, is a heathen or an Edomite, if I'm not mistaken, right? So you have these different things, and you have other camps who didn't agree with it, and they would be silent or wouldn't say nothing, but still be on the panel, doing and discussing and doing these things. Okay, so you have, these are, you got Shawapar from HOI. Who is this? This is Salakia Abaya, all right, from Inside the Nation Radio. And you had, I forgot his name. You even had Hassad, right? They all called in. But this is one of the things, okay? This is, you have these unity camps where they don't even agree with stuff, okay? And I want to play this part right here, then I'm going to go through a couple of scriptures. Lord's will, this is edifying, all right? So let's play this real quick.
It's not factual. Not that it's just not factual. No, I understand. Well, number one, first and foremost, Elder Shawapar is my dear friend as well, and he actually gave me my Hebrew name, and I've never spoken to him about this topic before. Just because we've had such a great time with Feast of Tabernacles and other.
So he said he's never spoke to him about, this doctrine because they were great friends. And play it again.
Friend as well, and
factual. Not that it's just not factual.
No, I understand. Well, number one, first and foremost, Elder Yahawah is my dear friend as well, and he actually gave me my Hebrew name, and I've never spoken to him about this topic before. Just because we've had such a great time with Feast of Tabernacles and other events as well. So shout out to HOY. They've been doing the work for years, waking up the lost sheep, and
so they never got into the doctrine because they were too busy feasting, all right, and having fun instead of going over the doctrine. All right, the most important thing. All right, and keeping that friendship alive. All right.
Definitely appreciate all those brothers over there. So I wanted to preface that with making those statements. Shalom.
So he had to state that before he even answered. He stated his side of what he believes, right? But that's the thing, man. All right, you have these unity camps where they're not unified, all right, because they don't agree. Okay, and the scriptures talk about that. All right, let's get to it. Let's be getting to it. So let's go to let's start off in Jeremiah. Okay. Jeremiah, and let's go to 2, and let's go to verse number 33. All right. It says, Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 33, it says, why trimmest thou thy ways to seek love? It says, therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. Okay. And that's what you see a lot in Israel. All right. People trimming their ways. All right. To have the brotherhood over breakdowns. All right. To have the brotherhood of unity over the correct doctrine. All right. And you see that. And now you see, hey, Yahawah Bahasham is spoiling all of that. All right. He's exposing all that. It's coming to the surface while they try to, mix it down and put it at the bottom. All right. Let's just have our Feast of Tabernacles. Let's have our new moon feast and, this, that, and the other. Right. Here comes that doctrine bubbling up. Okay. But then they don't want to ruffle feathers. All right. You have leaders of camps who, they don't want to ruffle the feathers. All right. That's their ways. It says, why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? All right. You listen, before I bring this out, I just want to state that we never really talked about this because we were too busy having feast days and tabernacles of, hey, see, that's the problem, right? Do you even know who you are truly dealing with? All right. And it says, why trimmest thou thy ways to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. Okay. And so then you have all these people, who are listening, who are on the stage, off the stage, listening on YouTube, right? And then you have, perfect example, you had Genesis, all right, even with Sakari, when they was, had unity camps with a lot of these other ones, and they didn't even agree with, the Sabbath and different things, all right. But you're gonna unify and have a unity camp, right? And what they would say was, well, first before we go step away to the side and we discuss doctrine. Well, why would you even do that in the first place if you don't agree with that person? Okay, so why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. All right. And now you got all these other people. All right. You have all the sheep, right? And they're following, and they're all confused, okay? Because this camp teaches this camp teaches that, and I don't know who to. So what I'm gonna believe is, well, who do I like the best? Well, I like the way this guy raps, so I'm a follow him. Or I like the instead of listening to what the true understanding is. All right, they're picking and choosing based upon who they like, man. All right, they're putting their trust in men, respect of persons. At the end of the day, okay. So it says, "Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways." All right, and that's what we see going on. All right, and now it's just a heap of confusion going on. All right, Amos chapter 3, verse 3. It says, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" Okay, and we see the Lord. The Lord is showing it. Okay, the Lord is showing that you can't walk together if you're not agreed. All right, how can you go somewhere when one person wants to go left and the other person wants to go right? How are you going to to get to go to the same place when you're headed in different directions? And that's what you see. All right, and then you have a lot of them who would just either just close their mouth and not say nothing. All right. They won't even say anything. They'll be on that the little unity camp. They'll have that while somebody is bringing out, stuff that they don't agree with. They just won't say nothing. Instead of, nah, brother, I don't agree with that. Right. So it says, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" All right. The NLT says, "Can two people walk together without agreeing on the direction?" Right. It's impossible. All right. And the Lord is showing that, And I remember, when me and my brothers, when we were, coming up, all right, through our little camp, and some people were watching this camp, some people were watching that camp, we had that same mentality. Oh no, we can watch and we can unify and this, that, and the other. And one of the brothers like, yeah, you can't. We had to agree on something, you know. And we ended up agreeing on GMS. All right, which ultimately Bahasham directed us into that path, because before we were you know one brother watching this camp and this camp, another brother watching this camp and that camp, and then when you get to certain uh sound doctrines, you couldn't agree on it. Well, no, that's not the way they teach it. That's not the way and ultimately it was just a bunch of confusion. All right, but that's the thing. Two people can't walk together unless they're agreed. All right, so it says, "Can two people, Salakia, can two walk together except they be agreed?" All right, you have to agree to go in a certain direction. All right, and that certain direction should be the truth. All right, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. It should not be, well, we just want to, at the end of the day, we just want to be brothers and be unified, or uh, we want to have brotherhood over breakdown. No, man, you got to have breakdown first. The breakdown is what unifies you, because you're under one understanding. All right, what is that? Philippians. Let's get that. Philippians 2 and verse number 2. It says, "Fulfill ye my joy." It says that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord and one mind. Okay? You have to be on one accord and one mind. All right? And how so powerful that is. All right? When the Spirit is working with you, and you and your brothers agree, all right, and the correctness of the doctrine, all right, and how the Rawchaa Qadash works with you, and it's just like it's a powerful thing, as opposed to, well, this brother believes this and this brother believes that, and people looking like, well, how the hell are y'all even standing together? You know what I mean? That's what it looks like at the end of the day. All right. And the Lord says he's not an author of confusion, man. All right. You got to be of one mind. All right. And you see the Lord is just dismantling, these unity camp stuff, this whole ideology, because he's the Lord is spiritually sniping, these camps, man. All right. With all their different, doctrines and ultimately, and you can spot them too. The thing is, you can spot a lot of them because they love to say, JC. All right, they love to, to bring out that word. They don't even bring out the true names of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. All right, even though they know them, they won't even use them. Okay. Um. So it says, um, verse 2, Philippians 2:2 again. It says, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord and of one mind. All right. And that's how you have to be. All right. Philippians 2:2 in the NLT, it says, then make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another, and working together with one mind and purpose. Okay. And if we're in one body, which is Yahawashi, all right, you have to. The arm can't say, or, the left leg can't say, well, I'm going to go to the left, and the right leg say, I'm going to the right. It's not going to work. The body has to work together, all right, to function, all right. Each part, each piece, each member has to work together. You can't have, your waist going this way, your body going the other way. All right. It's just not going to work. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to, I didn't have too much. Let's go to 1 Timothy. Okay. We'll probably close it out on that, but I just wanted to touch bases on it because you see it. Hey, the Lord is just his dismantling that whole unity, that whole nine, man. All right. And ultimately the Lord is separating the truth, all right, from these folks who have partial truth or no truth at all. All right. Like when you watch that video, you had Hassad jump on there, talking with Shawapar from HOI, about Cornelius, and he brought out the scriptures, and talked about how he basically was how the pit bulls be, right? They love to debate, so he's sitting there debating, all right, and back and forth, all right, with the Gentile salvation, all right. Hassad thinks that all the nations can receive salvation, but HOI does too, all right. It's just complete madness, man. All right. But Salakia, let's get back to it. And so I can close this out. This is 1 Timothy chapter 4, and let's see. We'll start at verse 14. No, let's start at verse 13. Okay. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 13, it says, till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, and to doctrine. Okay. To doctrine. All right. It's the most important thing. You gotta have the right doctrine. All right. It says, neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by prophecy with the laying on of the hands of the presbytery. All right. It says, meditate upon these things, give thyself wholly to them, that thy profiting may appear to all. It says, take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine. Continue in them, For in doing this, thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear. Okay, you have to adhere to sound doctrine. Take heed to sound doctrine. All right, you can't be trying to trim your ways to seek love, to seek, the brotherhood, the friendship. All right, where you'd rather just, be merry and, have a feast as opposed to going over the scriptures, man. You got to go over the scriptures. You got to be like the church of Berea. All right. So what you're saying is you're not like the church of Berea. You rather just skip over it and let's just fellowship. No, man. You got to get into these scriptures, man. All right. You got to get into this true wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. It says, take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine, continue in them, for in doing this thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear thee. Okay? And right now, you have a lot of people blind leading the blind. All right? Blind leading the blind right now. There's a lot of that going on. All right? And folks they walking around all confused. All right? What is that? Matthew? Let's get that real quick. Matthew 15. Matthew 15, and let's start at verse 13. It says, but he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father have not planted shall be rooted up. And that's what we see now. All right. Yahawah Bahasham rooting up. All right. These plants that were rooting up these plants that were not planted. Okay. And slowly but surely, not even slowly but surely, but I'm talking about digging the whole roots up. All right. Of these camps. So it says, let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. All right. And that's what you see going on. All right. Just a whole bunch of confusion. All right. And blind people walking around aimlessly with their hands like groping. What does it say? Deuteronomy 28, groping in the noonday. All right. They can't even see. All right. And ultimately, because it's for the elect. And the Lord is ultimately sifting people out. All right. Through all these unity camps. All right. Through these facets where, you have people who can't even agree trying to unify. And it's not going to work. All right. And it's going to lead a lot of people, to fall off and to lose faith in these last days, because ultimately they weren't even part of it. That's why I said the election have obtained it, but the rest were blinded. Okay. So I just wanted to do this quick lesson. Lord's will, this was edifying. All right. But with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Call Halal Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash, peace and blessings to the elect of the 12 tribes scattered abroad, a mighty shalom to the 144,000 men. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have ruled well through the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days. Another mighty shalom to the rest of the elect and the household of faith, man. Stay diligent, stay focused. Let this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding be your stability in these times. All right? Endure sound doctrine, as the scriptures say. Okay? And search out the scriptures. All right? But with that, we say a ball, and shalom.